Guys, do you have a favorite Halloween candy?
Well, I'm a big candy fiend. A lot of people know that. Ackles, I don't think does candy as much as I do. I'll eat all sorts of candy. I'm not a big chocolate guy. I'll have it here and there, but I like candy, like sour candy. So I think when they have the little Sour Patch Kid numbers, but when they have the little like solo packets of Sour Patch Kids that you're supposed to have one, I end up going through like 6 or 7, stealing it from my kids, candy bags. That's mine. What's yours?
What's mine? Oh man, it's tough. Reese's.
Oh yeah. Oh, those are great. Yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Favorite Halloween candy. I do not like the candy corn. That is not my favorite.
What's
your problem with candy corn, man? What do you have against candy corn?
Because it's not candy and it's not corn. It's neither. What my favorite, man? I'm old school. I like the little bite-sized Snickers all day.
Yeah. Well.
Spoon of the fork. What?
Cut that.
I tend to get way, get that real like distorted.
We've got a lot in the garage, as you can see. Yeah, we're a bit of a we're some might call us a pack rat while wearing the Dean meat suit, so to speak. One more martini, I tell you.
The vampires in Duluth, the werewolves in Minnesota, you know.
Dude, I used to live on Banaka and Altoids when I was doing the soap opera because I had to make out every single day. Somebody that talks funny or somebody that talks smart? Oh yeah, sure. You with the Snapchat back there. Okay. Yeah, don't mind the guy with the mustache. Gotta go big. Gotta go big.
You know who wears sunglasses inside? Blind people and douchebags. I think that's Sam. Am I wrong? Is it Dean?
Funny story. I had sunglasses on inside an airport because I had my hands full and I didn't have a chance to take them off, and I just walked inside and somebody came up to me and it was like, you know who wears sunglasses inside? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so busted. Bringing back the old hits.
Bringing back the old hits, which is
15th
great.
season is the greatest hits.
Yeah.
I mean, we only got 7 episodes left, so it's like,
True.
you know, let's go out with a blaze
I
of
should
glory.
read them. Yeah. Good
You
point.
should read them.
Kill everything.
I haven't read anything since season 4, so. Yeah, spoiler alert. Dean's not totally gone. There's so many home videos.
Yeah,
It's just,
Are you the one who hacked
never
my
mind.
email?
Never mind.
Rowena?
You like it?
Charlie.
Responsible parenting, that's not my forte. I wear makeup for a living.
A lot of fan favorite characters, and I think that's
And Misha.
And Misha. I'm sorry, Ruth. I do listen to you.
Why aren't you looking directly at me when you're talking?
What kind of house doesn't have salt? Low sodium freaks? That's me, I'm certain.
Isn't it juicy? It's so juicy.
Why am I twisting my
I
mustache?
know.
Of course he would. He wants the show for himself. He's gonna twist his mustache.
Never mind.
No, it's Curtis Metatron. No, who is it?
It is actually Castiel or Misha as Lucifer.
Oh, that's tricky. That's cheating. You can't cheat. Okay.
Oh,
Oh, buddy.
name
Thank
just now,
you.
and
That's
I
so
just wanna-
sweet. You honestly
Sort
didn't
of a
need that.
consolation prize. Every time someone says my name.
I get a beer delivered. Which
we're wrapped, by the way.
This is fantastic. Thank you, Misha. I see. Who needs on-camera relationships when you have relationships
when you have a servant.
like these? I gotta say, I think they add a little some to Daphne. Yeah, I think they made her a little bit more prime time.
This is going to be a little nebulous or possibly generic, but I don't
know what those words mean.
I don't either. I just
Okay, you just like throwing out.
I
big
read them
words.
in a Mad magazine one time.
About to be done, right?
Yeah. They're like about to play closing time.
Yeah. Sweeping the floors.
The next time we film will be the third decade that we filmed Supernatural in, because we were in
right.
2000s, 2010s, and now it's 2020s. Kind of crazy. And he looks it. I've kept it together rather well. If I'm
I mean, it's just gorgeous. Every season. Just wavy locks. Wavy locks of goodness. Oh, I'm ready to get my cry on.
yeah, I know I'm going to be crying. So it's
You
like,
guys are not allowed.
yeah, you're not allowed to cry. No crying.
I don't need to
No
see
crying. I'll
that
find you.
face for the rest of my life. I'll give you just a little tease. It'll be something in like,
Yeah,
it'll be in that neighborhood.
Yeah. Related to.
it'll be in that
Parallel
neighborhood.
to, yeah.
Because it's not a
That's too.
no
that's
no
too
no.
sexy.
It's ugly.
Yeah. Full on
It's
UGLY. You
It's
ain't
like
got
his
no
resting
ally.
face.
Yes.
Right.
I'm trying really hard to keep that because when I sleep, I just immediately.
Well, the Botox helps.
Yeah. No, it hurts actually, but it numbs it ultimately. Yeah. I'll tell you when you're older. 3 favorite to film, 3 favorite to watch, or 3 favorite as far as
Just
the
3
characters
favorites for a character. One was when I got the answer right and did not get nutcrackered. Jared and I kind of have a beard challenge every height.
concerned. But Sam finally saying it.
I'm gonna need a
Accepting him saying
snappier answer.
it. Sam. I mean, this is like a haiku, like beat poetry.
Just a snappier answer.
Likestein. Brothers.
The problem is I don't think the boys can sing. Like I don't think Sam and Dean Winchester can sing as well as Jared and Jensen can, So they'd be like blah 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 blah. God knows I don't want to see Cass sing. Like a little monotone. Carry on, my wayward son. Yeah, I'd pay not to see that.
Sam liked getting his parallel dance on with Ruby. Okay, I shouldn't say that.
Which has
Jared liked.
resulted in 3 children.
Jared
at this point.
Yeah, we've lost him.
I know. I take. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you my number 2.
But what's the category?
Favorite things that your character has done.
You already did that. You have to do now. What's your favorite? That was Dean's favorite. So now it has to be Jensen's.
No, the
favorite.
question was, what are 3 things? What are 3 favorite things that
But there's a subset.
that your character has done? Right? What was the question? Could you please
put it on the
repeat
spot.
the question?
Yeah. What's the question?
Could you please repeat
Could
the
you
question?
pee and then please?
3 favorite moments your character has
That's
had.
not even a question. That's like a Jeopardy style question.
I said I didn't get nutcracked. Here's number 2. I killed Hitler.
You did kill Hitler. That's right.
There you go. Boom. Done. See?
Uh-huh.
Snappy.
Okay.
These are Jensen's guesses.
Oh, do you know how he did? This is freaking ridiculous. How did I do?
You are 100% perfect.
Yes!
Thank you
Was
so
it really?
much. Yeah, 100%
That's amazing.
perfect.
100%.
Well, I would hope so. It's
100%.
The amount of time you look in the mirror, I would hope you know what you look like.
Yeah, I know I can't get into specifics because all of my bosses are here, literally.
That's my favorite part of my character is that I wasn't
Is that
stupid
you
enough
don't
to get
have
into
to
those
endure
situations.
the
That's
pain
correct.
that your
That's
brother
correct.
Dean is.
That's correct.
Okay.
Is the glass half empty or half full?
Well, maybe it's empty.
Maybe it's a plastic cup.
Maybe
not
it's just
glass.
completely empty.
Maybe you can't
I
tell
drank
because
it.
it's opaque, so you don't know.
Calvert.
Calvert.
Yeah, Alex. Guys, where's everybody? Guys, what's happening?
I think
Alex,
that's true.
we're done. Oh man, I put on my pink tennis shoes for this.
He just never took them off.
We have superlatives here.
Yes.
Most likely to is one.
Are they different or are they the
They're
same?
different.
Most likely to crash the Impala, I have to say Misha. Anybody on the cast. Misha even crashed an Audi on 24. Remember that story?
Yeah, and by the way, you run a close second. I still feel like I'm going to go to the grocery store and someone's going to call me Dean. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that happening for as long as it happens. As soon as we land in any city, I'm like, I find North and I'm like, got it, done.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm always the one to navigate.
Yeah, but we have an iPhone with Google Maps.
Yeah, but I'm the one doing it.
But can you smell horse tracks?
Of course.
I don't call the writers on their summer break like, what's next season going to be about? Like, what's going on? What's Sam going to look like? What's he going to wear? And how do I selfie?
I don't know. Oh, it's portrait mode. I want to get like. Okay.
Maybe personal hygiene has, kind of been forgotten about.
It sort of made sense that Sam had better things to do than to wake up in the morning and, tweeze his eyebrows and shave.
Hello!
It's like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Who's under there?
Yeah.
We've talked a little about like the end of this, but I want to do kind of like a timeline in my head, at least in terms of what we're talking about. Like, you guys decide it's ending, like the final season is getting prepped. You and Jared went to the writer's room, right?
Yeah, so during the hiatus between season 14 and 15, Jared and I went out to LA and sat down in the writer's room, which I think is the first time we've ever done that. We sat there and listened, and I didn't think it was going to be it wasn't like a brainstorming session, or it was like, this is what we have, take it or leave it. And I kind of walked out of there just uneasy. I don't know whether it was just the fact that I had just heard the ending of a show that had been going for 15 years, and I just, too close to it to really accept a finality to it. But it certainly wasn't, it wasn't settling in as easy as I had hoped. And I struggled with it. And this is no secret. I've shared this before. So I had a conversation with Kripke about it. This is going back a year, over, maybe a year and a half ago. He just kind of put things in a perspective that really helped me kind of identify why I was having trouble with it, but also why it was a really great idea for an ending. And so from then on, I was kind of all in.
Is that when it really, I know you guys have talked a little about like, those were the days when it kind of started to finally creep in, like the feeling that it was ending. Like, what were those days like on set, like pre-COVID?
The scene between Cass and Dean, basically Cass's goodbye scene, it started to hit a little bit that day, because there's been these big emotional scenes throughout the show, especially between both Cass and Dean, and between Cass and Sam, between Dean and Sam, between Jack. A variety of characters have had these big emotional, poignant scenes, so to speak.
Right.
But just kind of knowing the levity of that one, and knowing that this was Misha's kind of tearful goodbye to Cass, was tough. And I kind of did my best to hold it together on my end. I remember looking over and seeing several of the crew members just like in tears, kind of watching from the sidelines. And so I think it kind of started to hit me then. Jared was a wreck from episode 1 of season 15. He was just like, he was a struggle bus the whole season. So, and admittedly so, like, he's like, oh yeah, I got emotional from day one. I just kind of, I was like, I kept pushing it off and pushing it off. I'm like, no. Like we still got episodes to shoot. We've still got a lot of work to do. And so I just kind of kept treating it as, you know, another season, another episode, another day on set. And then that scene with Misha was, you know, hard to ignore as far as kind of the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And but then this, like, I want to try to use my words. Then COVID hit, and all of a sudden it was like, oh great, I don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
Or I don't have to deal with it right now. So there was almost a pressure release when they said, hey, we're pressing pause now for this virus. You know, we'll be back when it gets under control. Now, I just assumed that it would be under control, like a lot of us, hoping that it would be under control in you know, several weeks, a few months, whatever it might be. But then as time kept going and the data kept rolling in, and it just looked like we were never gonna come back. Obviously, I knew we would, because I don't think the entertainment industry was just gonna pack up shop and, you know, that'd be the end of it. We'd all be out of work.
You take your break, you come back. You have to quarantine for 2 weeks. Like, are you spending those 2 weeks in quarantine just like thinking about the end? Like, what was your quarantine experience?
At first, it was like the first, you know, 4 days, I felt like I was on like house arrest. Like I was like, it was Jared and I who were in quarantine, and then also Rob Benedict, and I don't know if I'm spoiler alerting this, but Jake Abel. So we were all like quarantined together. So we would have daily Zoom parties.
Happy hours?
Yeah. In fact, Jake made a video, because you'll have to see it at some point. So Jake and Rob were staying in the same place, which is where the show puts up a lot of the guest stars. It's like it's like an executive suite for extended stays. It's not a hotel. It's like a furnished living type of thing. So they were one story above each other, or below each other, and there was I believe there were some bottles of booze that were tied onto some string and lowered down to when someone maybe ran out of booze, and the delivery guy was taking his time, and then was hoisted back up to make another. And we made a whole, like, there's an entire videos of being made like via Zoom. Jake like cut together a whole movie.
Oh my God. All right. So you finally get back to set. We'll jump to the final day, because why not? I mean, how would you describe like the feeling on set? Like, did it feel different the final day?
Yeah, so there were kind of two last days. There was the final day, which production, especially Bob Singer, wanted to have the last page of the script shot on the last day of filming, which I agreed with. I thought that was the right thing to do for a variety of reasons. But there was also the final day on the sound stages, which happened to be, it was a Friday that we shot the final day at our sound stages, which has been our home for 15 years. And then we went on the road the following Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then Wednesday was the final day of filming. And that was up in the mountains and this beautiful vista views, and really, really cool. So it was a cool way to finish it out, but it was a little different. It was a little odd, because we usually always finish on stage.
Sure.
There was a lot of like tearful goodbyes. Like I walked around as they were like ripping apart the Men of Letters set, you know, saw them like brooming out stage 3, and saw them packing up our lockup wardrobe and props, and everything was kind of splayed out and getting itemized. And, you know, it looked like people were getting ready for the biggest garage sale you've ever seen. And it was it was emotional. And also that was probably the most emotional day in the script, was what happened, what we filmed on that day. So I knew that was kind of that was the summit as far as emotion and feelings, was that day, was that Friday. And then it was kind of cruising to the end the next 3 days. So I got, we got to the last scene of the last day, and I took a drive in Baby by myself down a road, which was kind of cool. I just was like, see you guys, I'm gonna go for a drive. And yeah, so that was, but again, the feeling I had that day was more like pride, emotional pride. Like, look what we've done. Look how far we've come. And look at these people who's, who helped us build this incredible piece of art that we'll get to hang our hats on for the rest of our lives. So it was more prideful. I think the analogy I used was it felt the same way I felt like when I came out from the delivery room and told my family, like, it's a healthy baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it feel yet like it's over? Like, obviously it hasn't aired, but like I was talking to Bob and he talked about like his moment was kind of like driving away from like Vancouver and from set and all that. And I remember with college, it was like, which is 1/4 of what you guys did. I didn't feel like college was over until I didn't go back the next fall. Like,
yeah.
Has that set in for you yet?
I don't know. I've had kind of a series of moments like that. I don't think I've had any one big, like, big slap in the face of that's it.
Yeah.
My thing is I've also tried to recognize those moments and take them in. Because usually my MO is to just ignore them and push it away. I get that from Dean, I guess. And so, there was a moment in my trailer when I took off my boots for the last time. And I've spent so much time in them that I've worn 4 pairs out. And I kept this last pair, and I looked at them. I took them off and I looked at them, and they were sitting next to a wardrobe box that was getting packed up with some of my personal items and stuff inside my trailer. And I just took a picture of it. I just was like, it's like literally like hanging up the boots. So that was a moment. Driving back to town after they said that's a series wrap was another, like, this will be my last drive back home or back to downtown Vancouver from the set of Supernatural. Little moments like that were just like, and trying to absorb that and remember it, and enjoy it.
I guess, I don't know if this has been said publicly, but Jensen and I were the ones, at least we were led to believe that we were the ones who were going to ultimately decide when the show ended. And so we had this conversation for a decade. We had this sort of like, okay, what do we do? I'm falling in love with a girl and she lives here. We ultimately made the decision, I think, believe it or not, I think he and I made the decision during the filming of season 13 that season 15 would be it. And so as far as that's concerned, that was our news to share. And that sounds arrogant. And I don't mean it to sound like, well, we decided. And by the way, I don't want that. I don't want somebody showing up my house like protesting. So it just felt like, we'd had this discussion with people we love and care about and other members of the cast and crew. And we sort of said like, okay, we got to get home. He and his wife and kids live in Austin. Jen and I and the kids live in Austin. And so we had made that commitment to each other, like to stick with it. And we had a few dinners with a few higher ups who will remain nameless because I don't want to sell them out, where they would say, "Hey, you sure? You sure?" And we had to go like, "We're sure, and we weren't sure. We weren't sure at all. But we were 60-40. So the show had already been destined to finish its current iteration in season 15. And then, yes, Jensen and I were in Los Angeles. I think we had done some conventions, and the four of us sat down, Bob Singer, Andrew Dabb, Jensen Ackles, and myself, and heard like, okay, like what's this season look like? Like what's going on? So that was the first we heard of the story. I mean, I think we had spent 2,500 days on set with each other. And so we had talked about it left, right, and center. And so we had our ideas. We had gone through every idea. But I do think that that was the first time we heard like, okay, so here's the way it's gonna play. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Were you pretty instantly on board? I know you and Jensen had like different experiences with that.
I was absolutely 100% instantly on board. Being a fan of storytelling and knowing the tropes and the archetypes that have been around for generations and generations, I heard the story and thought, oh my God, that's tragic, like wonderfully tragic and wonderfully optimistic in some way, shape, or form. But this is the way the story should be. I mean, whatever they said would have been a shot in the gut. If it was like, listen, it turns out it's all been a dream. You're at a diner and you end up in jail like Seinfeld, or we just cut mid-scene like Sopranos. No matter what you hear, if it's like, hey, you die happy in bed, you'd be like, I die in a bed. Like there's some bit, or not that it's about death, but if you hear the way something's going to end, like, hey, after your trip around the world on a motorcycle, you pull in and you run out of gas, or you don't. And you're like, well, we should have run out of gas, or we should have run out of gas. Like, no matter how the story ends, I think there's some degree of like, what? But beyond that, I was able to be as objective as possible, as soon as possible, and go, man, that's a great story. That's a great way for Sam and Dean to continue to tell their story. So
then pre-COVID, when you actually get like the script, what was your experience of like actually reading it for the first time?
I want to be very careful with this and not use hyperbole. I think I cried every time I read the script. And not because of what happens in the script. This is not like, oh, they are this and that, and they're going through this and that. I think it's just, it was weighing so heavily on me as Jared that I knew it was affecting me. And so I was sort of like, I don't want to lose myself in the scenes. I mean, we have all sorts of scenes in the episode, and some are super silly and some are super strong. And I read every scene and cried every scene. And I was like, you gotta get past this, Jared, because, and I'm an emotional guy. I'm a Cancer, and I'm a dad and a husband. And I'm sort of like, the wind is blowing. There's a kite in the sky. A balloon is going up into space. It seems like every scene I read in the script was triggering. And so for me, I wanted to kind of like experience it over and over and over again, so that when they called action, I could be Sam and not Jared, because I'm not telling Jared's story. Jared is learning from the life and experience that Sam is having and going through. But I wanted to make sure that by the time, as much as humanly possible for me, that as soon as they called action, I could be like, all right, I'm Sam, and I'm committing to Sam and his experience.
It's been interesting, like talking to Bob and Jensen and people about like the moment when they really kind of felt like it resonated that it was over for them. Like, Jensen talked about taking off his boots for the last time in his trailer, and Bob talked about driving away on the, seeing Vancouver in his rearview mirror. Like, did you have a moment or
Oh God, I hadn't heard that. I'm sorry.
I know, it's really sweet. But when did it like really, or has it hit you at this point that like it's over?
Yeah, there was the last day. There were a lot of different scenes. And, like different conversations with different crew guys and gals and cast and stuff. And then there was, so let me start over. So we shot the pilot, and then they said, "Hey, you're filming in Vancouver," and I was like, "Where's that?" And so Jensen knew, but we carpooled up to Vancouver, up I-5 from LA, because I was there for Gilmore Girls and this and that. I think it was Sunday, September 13th, I guess. And he was driving this big old U-Haul full of all of our stuff from 15 years. You know, we had kind of like, it was all going to Austin from Vancouver. So it was all in the back of the U-Haul, and he drove it across, and I was right behind him. And it was like that drive, it's only like 45 minutes to an hour from where my apartment was in Vancouver to the border, to crossing the U.S. And it was right during all the wildfires. And so like the sky was really weird. It felt like Supernatural episode or something. Honestly, it was weird. It was like orange sky, and you can't see anything, and it's kind of stinky. It smells like a barbecue in your car. But we crossed the border together through American Customs, and they're going like, "What you doing?" And we're like, "Hey, we're we were here shooting a TV show, and we're going back home." And they were like, "All right, what show?" We're like, "Supernatural." And they were like, "Oh, yeah, y'all been coming back and forth for a while." We're like, "We sure have." We sure have.
It has to feel good though. Like you've said, you love this finale though. It has to feel good knowing that like you love the way this thing you love so much ends.
Yeah, I do. I feel like, when there's something you love deeply, I mean, this sounds so cheesy, but this has been a real big lesson. And like when you love something, you let it go, and you let it live on as it is, and let it kind of go on with integrity, And so we were so strong. I mean, trying to be objective, and I'm not talking about like, "Damn, Jared, you done good in 13 or 14 or 15 or something." This wasn't like, "Man, I'm doing really good, really goodly, I should go and walk away." It's more like, "Man, this show is so powerful right now. I want to go out on a high note." And Ackles felt the same way, I know, because we talked, several times a week. And Thursdays can be really difficult. But I feel really proud to have been a part of this. And I can't stress enough that I feel like I was just one of the people there that was there trying to tell a great story. And I think that's why when I heard the way that season 15 was being planned, why I went like, "Man, that's great and that sucks, but it's the best way to tell the story." But I still will always, 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 always remember my good dear friend Sam Westchester.
What we had created for 15 years, I think, was really special and was certainly unique in not just the show and the story and the characters, but also the personal aspect of it. So I think it'll probably hit me a little more than it has yet when I head up to Toronto and walk onto the set of The Boys.
That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be cool. I know. I head out to LA in a few more days for like my 6th superhero costume fitting.
Wow.
I'll give you a little fun fact about it.
All right.
I don't even know if I'm supposed to share this, but I'm not giving anything away. Through no planning of or work of my own devices, I somehow managed to end up with the same kind of boots.
Amazing.
For Soldier Boy that I wore as Dean Winchester. Different color, but same boot.
Aw, that's like, that
I know.
Emotional. That's sweet.
I know. And they had given me like a variety, and I just immediately looked at them and I was like, I just kind of like chuckled, and I'm like, well, I can tell you which ones I know work. And they're like, "Oh, which ones?" And I'm like, "Those right there." And they're like, "Oh, do you have a pair?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And they're like, "Oh, well, perfect. Those were my favorite anyway, so let's just go with those." And I'm like, Okay.
Oh, a little piece of Dean.
Yeah. Yeah.